Welcome to the session on Innovation, Change, and Conflict. HPA 400, the Principles of Public Health Management. The learning objectives for this session is to give you a good understanding of what is innovation and why is innovation important to organizations. The definition of organization innovation, and what is organization change? And why are these changes so important to an organization? You will also learn different kinds of changes that can be made within an organization, and why it is important to consider the effects of change on people within the organization. You will also learn how to evaluate change, and how organization change and stress is related. And last is to learn how to handle conflict as a factor of organization change. Why is innovation important? Innovation is the renewing, the changing, or creating more effective processes, products, or services, the way of doing things. A way of making your product unique from your competition. As consumers have more options nowadays, it is vital that your organization remain innovative, continually improving and making the lives easier. Innovative products can increase the standard of living. Innovative services can help improve lives. What is organizational innovation? It is the implementation of a new organization methods, such as creativity. Creativity is a form of organization innovation that produces novel and useful ideas. Innovation is important to the survival of an organization. Look around you. Do you see Borders anymore? It used to be a well-known bookstore that carried music, a coffee shop, and books. Because the organization was not creative in moving forward to a digital age, where now people are using more ebooks and listening to music by MP3 players. No longer are books, DVDs, CDs are needed to be at the palm of your hand. However, some organizations, such as Barnes & Nobles, moved with this innovation path. It created a new brand of ebooks, the Nook. Creativity is a form of survival. Without being innovative as a part of an organization characteristic, your organization could lose its competitive advantage. The technology cycle is a purposeful application of knowledge, tools, and techniques in the design, production, and utilization to transform inputs into outputs. Technology can be divided into 5 categories: tangible, intangible, high-tech, intermediate tech, and low-tech. Here is a few examples of technology driven by the disruptive innovation creativity. What are? Here are a few examples of disruptive innovation. Let's take a look at the taxi cab. For decades, taxi cab companies have dominated the space in transportation. However, in the last few years, a company by the name of Uber transformed this space. Uber is a company that provides transportation through the use of a mobile application, the app, and relies heavily on digital marketing. It is one of the most disruptive, innovative technology in the 21st century, where the taxi meets the app in a share economy. The problem was the customer had no idea where and when dirty cabs with a shady driver will arrive. Uber provided a solution to solve their pain point in 5 different ways. The application allowed the user to locate the taxi in real time using Google Maps. You can even select your taxi based on reviews. Consumers had the ability to control their own destiny in the palm of their hand. This is very empowering. You can track the time of arrival, text your driver if you're running late, or in a different location. No need for cash. When you download the app, you can enter your credit card information. After each ride, the payment is automatically deducted from your credit card. Uber's success is primarily due to their effective use of digital marketing. Here's another example. Do you remember the Walkman, which played cassette tapes? Do you even see cassette tapes anymore? Nowadays, most music are in an MP3 format, which allows you to download into an iPod, an iPhone, an iPad. And since we're talking about Apple products, do we see these telephones anymore? I think most people have an iPhone, an Android, some type of smartphone device. These are examples of disruptive innovation. It changed the way people live. Here are some examples of innovation in healthcare. Medical records are now in electronic format. It can be accessible at the computer, even on an iPad. Now you can make walking a lot more interesting task. You can track the number of steps and make it a competition with yourself and with others. These new technologies such as the Fitbit, Jawbone, and other many smartphone applications are ways that has innovated our way of thinking of health. 10 years ago, sequencing the genome was a huge undertaking and cost millions of dollars and was a collaborative effort among different countries. This resulted in the Human Genome Project. Since then, cost of sequencing has dropped tremendously. You can get a genome sequence within 2 weeks or so, and only for a few $1,000s. You can get a rapid genome sequence or an exome sequence, which are DNA coding specific proteins within a couple days. With genomic data, we can understand your risk for certain diseases, your propensity for certain type of illnesses, and make preventative measures before the manifestation of these diseases. This is the emerging field of personalized medicine. While you keep in mind the disruptive innovation, think about the technology cycle that affected the production of these new technology. Technology cycle describes the business cycle of how a technology affects the product life and how the stages of technology impacts business processes. The 4 stages of a technology life cycle are: first, the research and development. You often hear the phrase R&D, R&D. This is what it stands for. At this stage, the costs are greater than the return because the company or the organization is testing all these different experiments to see which of these products or services will yield the highest return. The second stage is the growth stage, where incremental utilization of technology is very high. The third is maturity. It is the growth of the utilization of the technology is reduced. And fourth is decline. This is when the utility of the technology is starting to reduce. This is a diagram that illustrates the technology cycle. It follows the S-curve, known as the pattern of innovation. In this diagram, early in technology cycle, there's much to learn, so progress is slow, as depicted by the point A on the S-curve. Point B indicates that researchers have figured out how to improve the performance for the innovation, only to be followed by point C, the flat slope indicating maturity of innovation, and that increased effort in terms of money, time, and R&D brings only a modest improvement in technological performance. Eventually, it limits the technology. After the technology has reached its limit at the top of the S-curve, significant improvements in performance usually comes from radical new changes or new performance to enhance the material or service. This is represented in the second S-curve. The changeover between the old and the new technology is represented by the dotted line. Typically, both old and new technology coexist until the new technology becomes the dominant in the marketplace, at which that time the old technology cycle will be completed and the new technology cycle will begin. Think back when you look at cars. If you notice that an old model is in the market space and there's a new car being tested out, eventually the old version is phased out as the new version emerges. Organization needs to plan ahead of time using this technology life cycle. This is part of strategic planning and management that you previously learned in the last module. I hope you can see how each of the different concepts from the chapters are linked together. Managing innovation. There are generally two approaches to effective managing technology cycles and innovation streams. First, the manager must anticipate change and position the firm to survive the technological shift while in a discontinuous change. Managers must focus on incremental improvement and innovations following the emergence of a new dominant design. Managers cannot command employers to be creative, but they can build a creative work environment to encourage creativity. There are 6 components to encourage and drive creativity. They are challenging work. Challenging work requires effort, demands attention and focus, and is recognized as important to others in the organization. A central element in creating a challenging work environment is to achieve a balance between skills and task challenges. Workers become bored when they can do more than what is required of them. On the other hand, workers can become discouraged when they feel that their skills aren't sufficient to complete the task. As a manager, you need to balance workers' tasks and skills so that creativity can emerge. Second is organization encouragement. A creative work environment requires 3 types of encouragement: organizational, supervisional, and from work groups. Organizational encouragement occurs when the management promotes employees to be risk takers seeking new ideas, support and evaluate new ideas from employees equally, reward and recognize creativity, and support and encourage the sharing of ideas throughout the entire organization. Third is supervisional encouragement, which supports innovation by providing clear goals, encouraging open interaction with other employees, and openly supporting the development of teamwork and ideas. Fourth is work group encouragement. This occurs when a group members have experience, education, and background that are diverse. Innovation is further supported when the group fosters a mutual openness to ideas, maintain positive and constructive criticism so that new ideas can emerge. Fifth is freedom. Creativity thrives when management allows worker autonomy over their day-to-day work and have them own up to their ideas. Sixth is removing organizational obstacles. To foster creativity, companies should remove any barriers to the workers' creativity environment. Obstacles to creativity such as internal conflict, power struggle, very rigid management structure, or very conservative policy may bias toward a certain group, therefore discourage creativity. What are drivers of change? There are 4 categories. First is competitive forces. Organization must be able to match or exceed its competitor in one of its functional areas, or else it will not survive. Second, the economic, political, and global forces compels organization to adjust how and where they should produce their goods and provide services. Third, demographic and social forces helps managers to find better ways to supervise and motivate the increasing diversity in the workplace. Fourth is ethical forces. Organization must promote ethical behavior to protect the interests and reputation of the organization and the people affected by unethical action. Resistance to change is caused by self-interest, misunderstanding and distress, and general intolerance for change. The inability of an organization to change is often the main explanation for why performance decline. No organization can escape change. By identifying the reason why people resist change, a manager can modify accordingly to help break down these barriers and allow people to be more accepting to change. The 5 common reasons people resist change are: first, the organization inertia. There's a lack of understanding what is being taking place. Second, systemic barriers stemming from the organization's structure. Third, behavioral barriers may result from limited education, training, or work experience. Fourth, political barriers arises from power conflict. Fifth is personal time constraint. People not having the time required for implementing strategic change. As a manager, you're able to identify these reasons and hope to reduce the resistance to change. Organizations who simply react to change will experience a decline in performance. Change should be considered a continuous process. Adapting to the competitive environment shift rather than viewing it as some single out-of-character event. Managers, therefore, must anticipate change and ideally be the creator of change. Here are some practical steps to reduce resistance to change. For example, invite your employees to participate in the change process, or provide motivation or some type of incentive to implement change. Effectively communicate the need for change. Provide a feedback loop. Avoid any surprises, and reduce the fear of change. Sometimes, when the resistance to change becomes systemic, it can cause stress to the employee and to the organization. Stress is the body's reaction to change that requires a physical, mental, and emotional adjustment or response. Controlling stress at work is important because stress can damage an employee's psychological and physical health, limit concentration and decision-making skills, and decrease productivity. Stress is one of the number one factor in employees' turnover, an absentee. Stressed employees can affect the safety of others. Stress is expensive to an organization. How can we reduce stress in the workplace? Well, stressors must be dealt with from the environment in order for stress to be reduced. Strategies to reduce stress could be to create an environment of support for individuals, initiate courses that focus on stress management, design and operate career counseling programs. In summary, innovation, conflict management, and change management are key strategies in the survival of an organization.